They arrived with one suitcase each. No parents, no country to return to. Just 22 Ukrainian students stepping off a plane in the Philippines, thousands of miles from home, unsure if they would ever see Ukraine again. But what happened after they landed shocked the airport staff, moved the local community, and eventually touched the entire world. This is not just a story about refugees. It's a story about unexpected kindness, humanity, and how one small nation did something no one expected. In early 2022, as war erupted in Ukraine, universities shut down overnight. Bombs fell near student hostels, flights were cancelled, borders closed. Among those trapped were 22 Ukrainian students who had been enrolled in international exchange programs across Asia. When evacuation routes finally opened, their destination wasn't Europe, it wasn't America, it was the Philippines. Many people were confused. Why the Philippines? The answer was simple. It was one of the few countries that offered them immediate entry, emergency student visas, and a promise of safety. When the plane touched down in Manila, the students expected questions, delays, and paperwork. What they didn't expect was applause. As the students walked through the arrival gate, airport staff quietly clapped. Some smiled, some wiped tears. A Filipino immigration officer leaned forward and said, "Welcome home. You are safe now." For students who had spent weeks hiding in basements and bomb shelters, those words broke them. Several students cried openly. One student later said, "That was the first moment I felt the war had not completely taken my future." But the welcome didn't end at the airport. Waiting outside were volunteers, university representatives, and local families, many holding handwritten signs. "You are not alone. Ukraine is welcome here." Within days, Filipino universities stepped in. Classrooms were opened. Dormitories were offered for free. Tuition fees were postponed or completely waived. Some professors even redesigned courses so students could catch up without pressure. But the most powerful moment came during a campus orientation. A Filipino student stood up and said, "We cannot stop the war, but we can stop you from feeling alone." That sentence spread across social media. Videos of the students' arrival began circulating on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Millions watched, millions shared, and the world began to notice. What started as a quiet humanitarian gesture exploded online. News outlets from Europe, Asia, and North America picked it up. Headlines read, "Philippines opens its doors to Ukrainian students. Strangers become family across continents." Donations poured in. Local Filipinos offered free meals, clothing, phone SIM cards, even part-time jobs. One elderly woman in Cebu cooked Ukrainian-style soup every weekend, despite never having met a Ukrainian before. When asked why, she simply said, "Hunger has no nationality." Behind the smiles, the students carried heavy pain. Some had lost homes. Some had lost relatives. Many hadn't spoken to their families in days. One student, Anastasia, received news during class that her apartment block had been destroyed. She collapsed. Her classmates didn't panic. They didn't stare. They surrounded her, held her hands, and sat with her until she could breathe again. That moment never made headlines, but it defined everything. Slowly, life resumed. The students learned Tagalog phrases, tried Filipino food, celebrated birthdays together. They taught their Filipino friends Ukrainian songs, shared stories of snowy winters and peaceful childhoods. One student said, "I came here as a refugee, but I was treated like family." The Philippines, a country that has faced its own struggles, showed the world something powerful. You don't need to be rich to be kind. You don't need to be perfect to be human. In a world divided by borders, politics, and war, this story reminded us of something simple. Humanity still exists. 22 students arrived with fear in their hearts. They found safety in strangers and left behind a message that echoed around the world. Kindness travels faster than conflict, and sometimes the place you least expect becomes the place that saves you.